Hey everybody, David Barrett back here for the YouTube podcast and channel, Music, Movies, and Movie Music. And I've done many interviews so far, but not with one that's behind me here. Bay Area staple, guitar player, great human being. This is David Razzano from El Cerrito, California. And David, let me just give you some background about this man. He was in a band called Boy, B-O-I, with his brother and another drummer, and they did some big things. He's going to get more into what they accomplished during that time. He's the current guitar player of the fashion movie band with robotic mannequins, actors, models, dancers called Mannequin Planet. We have a show coming up July 3rd at Lane Splitter Pizza and many other shows coming up at the Ivory Room, Vinnie's in Concord. Dave, the guitar player, Mannequin Planet. And he's working on some new projects coming up too. We'll get into a little bit of that. But David, since this show's about music and movies, let's take it back to your first concert that you went to.
Okay, well, first of all, thanks for having me here.
Yes, sir.
I'm a big fan of the show, and it's exciting for me. So, first concert I went to was at the Oakland Coliseum. It was a day on the green, and it was, if I remember right, I think it was Earthquake, Climax Blues Band, Edgar Winter, Johnny Winter, and Leonard Skinner. But the Winter Brothers headlined. Leonard Skinner was on before then, but
Wow, what a lineup.
yeah.
What year was this?
This was probably 77, maybe.
Wow,
Yeah, 77, I think.
wow. Day on the Green. So later Day on the Green shows were, I remember one with Y&T, Queensryche, uh, Metallica, and Soundgarden, if I'm not mistaken. Another one. There was quite a few. This is before I moved to the Bay Area. I got here in '91, so this was long over when I got here. But what other lineups do you remember? I know Faith No More played one, right?
I went to one that was AC/DC, Van Halen, Pat Travers, Foreigner, and Aerosmith was the headliner.
Holy cow! Back when ticket prices were more affordable,
Yeah.
and you had more original members in the band. Am I
Oh,
right?
yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit.
there you go with that one too. So yeah, Day on the Green. In case anybody worldwide doesn't know the Bay Area history, this was like a big deal for all the rockers back in the day. This happened. It was put on by Bill Graham
Yeah, Bill Graham.
presents. The late great Bill Graham and concert promoter extraordinaire, and this was one of the many events that he would put on. And what lineups? I mean, it was just covering all
Yeah,
heavy music in general. So, what about concerts at the Cow Palace? You ever do that?
I went to a few at the Cow Palace. I saw, let's see, it was Foghat, Sammy Hagar, and this band called Rex.
Holy
I
cow!
saw Ted Nugent with I think it was Ted Nugent, REO Speedwagon, and somebody else. I saw that there at the Cow Palace. Cow Palace was kind of a fitting name for the place. It's like a big barn, and sound wasn't very good. It was festival seating, so everyone's pushed up against each other, and but it was, it still was a fun event. But as far as indoor arenas like the Oakland Arena would be much better, or Henry J. Kaiser, a lot better than Cow Palace. But
Yeah.
they got a lot of bands there at Cow Palace. And,
In the later years, they would host wrestling events at the Cow Palace, and also Exotic Erotic Ball, which was a big deal out in the Bay Area. It was this celebration during Halloween. They would have a costume contest. They'd have everybody from Bow Wow Wow to Motorhead to all kinds of groups. Notable people were there, like Andy Dick and Kevin Nash, Danny Bonaducci. I was backstage there one year and met some people at the Cow Palace, but really quite a Bay Area staple. In case you all don't know, this is South San Francisco we're talking about. Day on the Green was in East Bay of Oakland. And, well, what do you remember about the smaller clubs? So let's get into the places you played at now. We're, talking about on Broadway.
Yeah,
and what else?
In the East Bay, there was Jerry's Stop Sign in the Long Branch, International Cafe, the Keystone Berkeley, the Berkeley Square, the Omni, and then you get down into the South Bay. There was like the Catalyst and a couple of other clubs, the Cabaret, and like that. And then over in the city, there was like the Mabuhay and the Chi Chi Club, the Stone on Broadway. There was, let's see, the Palms, the I-Beam, Night Break, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of live clubs to play at.
So these were places you played with Boy or other bands?
With various bands, but yeah, I played with Boy at most of them too. Yeah.
Cool. Let's get into this great accomplishment that Dave got to experience with his brother. That was in the band too at the time, and this was for KSJU, was it?
KSJO was the
okay.
big rock radio station in South Bay.
Yeah, and they entered a contest, and I'll let you take the rest of it away.
Stroh's Beer and KSJO and some other company involved too. But every year the KSJO would put out a Best of the Bay album where, they'd have every band in the area submit a song, and they would pick the 10 best, put it on an album that they would press and distribute, and then it would be a caller-driven voting to pick the final winner of the whole thing, which would then go on to get $10,000 in recording equipment and then signed to a record deal and all that kind of stuff. And so it was pretty cool. We didn't win it, but we were sort of. It was funny that we even got into the whole thing because we were picked as one of the 10 finalists, got on the album, played a ton of South Bay shows. It was all really terrific, good audiences down there.
Great press. They got on a compilation album that had the 10.
The 10 finalists. Yeah.
And so that was pretty cool, and I'm sure they played the songs on the radio, maybe.
Yeah, they promoted them and stuff,
yeah.
And I got a ton of gigs. I played at the Catalyst with that, off of that, and a bunch of clubs down the South Bay, and it was fun. It's a good music scene down there too, and so that was good. We were from Richmond though. All the other bands were from the South Bay, so it was kind of funny that we got selected, put on that, but it was great. It was a wonderful experience.
Right on. And if people want to hear that single or album from Boy, where could they hear this?
You could try and Google it. It would be the name of the band was BOI. That's how you spell it. And the A side was a song called Dream Baby. So you can Google Boy/Dream Baby, and that would come up. The B side is the song that we got on their compilation album with. It's called Party. But if you Google Boy Party, you're going to come up with a lot of stuff, a lot of different sites. But anyways, that's basically how I find it when I'm looking for it,
And how would you describe the sound? I mean, to me, it had a little bit of rock, but then it had some new wave. I want to say like Devo, but definitely not as punk.
Yeah, it was a sort of a techno-metal type of thing, as far as.
And this was kind of ahead of its time because
it's back in '83, so
it wasn't industrial, but later on, a lot of these type of bands that were these fusions of like electronic something mixed with organic instruments and stuff. Yeah, so wow, good times, man. And I bet you that was a proud accomplishment doing that with your brother. And so it was you on guitar, your brother on
vocals and keyboards and
keyboards,
bass.
And then they had a drummer.
Yeah, who was my drummer Ken, and he was vocals and drums, and we had a lot of fun with that band. Played a lot of shows, made a lot of friends, and
Cool. And so these local clubs, what bands did you see at these clubs? You said you played some of them, but let's just dig in deep to what bands you saw that were national acts or local acts that you can remember from all these great clubs in the East Bay, San Francisco, South Bay, and everywhere. Yeah.
Well, a lot of local talent that I can't really remember all the names of. I remember in that era. Well, a little bit before that, there was this band called the Squares, which had Joe Satriani on guitar, and then
it was actually a band with a vocalist that Joe was in.
Yeah, well, it was a three-piece, and the bass player was the lead vocalist.
Oh, wow.
Too. Yeah.
So there's some history for you. Joe Satriani, the great shredding guitar player that he is, has taught so many people, Larry Lalonde in Primus, Kirk Hammett, so many people. He was in a band with a singer before he went to do this, like, total guitar god stuff, like Surfing with the Alien and Flying in a Blue Dream. Are you a fan of Satch?
Yeah, he's terrific
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, innovative.
It surprised me when he stepped up and started doing vocals. When I heard that, I said, kind of like Yngwie doing vocals, everybody's against it. They're like, man, you really got rid of your singers for this. But when Joe Satriani stepped up to do vocals on his album, and that was taking a big risk. He could have just done another instrumental album like Surfing with the Alien, and accomplished it, and people would have loved it. But I'm telling you, I was sold on his vocals. It wasn't even anything outstanding, but it really fit the tune, and I think that's what made that album even more successful than Surfing with an Alien. While we're on the subject of guitar gods and heroes, Dave Razzano, give me your top 5. And I know Ritchie Blackmore from Deep Purple and Blackmore's Night is one of them, and The Great Rainbow, Ritchie Blackmore. But give us your other 4.
Then I gotta say Tony Iommi, Van Halen, of course.
Eddie.
Dave Medichetti from YT, Ronnie Montrose, super favorite guitar player.
Yeah.
And then, and then everyone, I mean, I like them all, but those are the ones that really.
Yeah, you're a Shanker guy.
Michael
I'm sure.
Shanker, UFO.
UFO and Gary Moore, Thin Lizzy, like some Gary Moore.
Yeah, I didn't pay that much attention to that. I mean, I knew the Thin Lizzy hits, but I was more listening to my Sabbath and Montrose and YT.
Yeah, good times, man. Well, ever since you've been with Mannequin Planet, how's that? We've been playing for a good year and a half solid, maybe a little bit more. We played all over the Bay Area from Sunnyvale to Livermore, and Dave's been by my side doing this since we resurrected the band in 2025, and it's been awesome to have him on board and doing his thing. He brings a lot more to these songs than I feel are in the recordings, which is makes me a lot happier, and I think the audience loves it too. So how's it going to because between Boy and Mannequin Planet, you were raising a family, so you were out of the music game. Which we hear a lot from a lot of people that they take time off to raise a family. They get out of the music game because there's no time for it, and so I'll let you take it over, man.
Yeah, well, I stepped away for about 20 years, because I raised 3 sons, and but when the last one moved out, I sort of thought, well, now what do I do? And I figured, well, let's pick up the guitar and start playing, and and then I met you, and you talked about the project, and it sounded fun, and so really you got me back out there,
Right on.
It's been just nothing but fun, I mean, I love playing guitar, I love doing these shows, and being out there with everybody, and it's fantastic.
Cool. And I have to bring this up too, is that I put out a lot of free CDs, compact disc, and DVDs in the stores, sampler stuff, stickers, and flyers. And it just so happens that one of the many places that I had, flyering the brand in the of Mannequin Planet, Dave came across a CD, sampler CD, a flyer, sticker, and this is before we met. And then I meet him years later, and then he goes, I got that CD and sticker from someplace, that you put it. And so then, years later, we come together, and he's a big part. I want to thank you from the heart, man, that you had helped me resurrect Mannequin Planet from the ashes. Going strong 2010 to 17, 4 albums, 4 different lineups, 4 studio albums, many shows all over the Bay Area, from Stockton to Sunnyvale. We even went to Petaluma, Concord, all over. But Dave was a big part in resurrecting this group. And, you can see footage of me and Dave on stage. We just played May's Oyster House in San Francisco on Polk Street last Friday. We rocked the Hotel Utah many times. We got a show coming up at O'Reilly's, which used to be the Milk Bar on 8th Street. That's in August. We're back in Concord and Vinnie's. We're playing the Ivy Room right down the street from his house in Albany, the great Ivy Room, in August 5th. Back at Danny Murray's in October. We're cooking, working on putting a new album out. That's a compilation album of different singers and the same music created by Ron Graves. So, we got things going on with Mannequin Planet, trying to get things locked down for the rest of the year, and that's going great. So, Any other concerts that you could bring up before we switch over into movies? But I know there's got to be a lot of other ones that you've seen. I mean,
Seen a lot of great shows. The ones that really stick out are the ones that were more train wrecks than actual triumphant performances. You know, I remember a show I saw with at Keystone, Berkeley. It was Johnny Thunders from the New York Dolls, and you know, and there was a punk audience there, and you know, he comes out late. You know, he was all heroin now or whatever. And the audience was spitting at him, and that was kind of a sign of respect from that crowd back in the day. But he took it the wrong way, and he went and he kicked it this one guy in the front row, and he missed him. Fell flat on his back. He gets himself up, and he takes his Les Paul Jr. and just tomahawks it into the crowd, breaks it over this guy's head. The show stops. It was just.
Where were the
insane.
video cameras back then? There were no cell phones. That would have been something to go viral for sure.
Oh yeah, they stopped the show, and he had to borrow a guitar from one of the other bands. It was.
Well, the show did happen that night. He didn't get sued by the guy.
No. I mean, I don't know what the aftermath was, but it was that. This happened mid-show, right? You know, they were a headliner, and they stopped for about a half hour and came back out. And, you know, but it was so real and so intense that it was riveting. I mean, you know. Having the fake car blow up, and a real car blow up.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But,
wow. So, what shows may you seen at the Berkeley Square or the Omni? Anything in the East Bay like that?
At the Square, I saw Billy Idol play there right before Rebel Yell blew up.
Damn.
And that was a really good show.
That's pretty amazing. Steve Stevens on guitar.
Yeah.
What a ripper.
Fantastic. And there wasn't that many people there because, you know, he had White Wedding out and stuff, but he wasn't as quite as established.
Yeah. And can you imagine an artist like Billy Idol? The Berkeley Square is really, I mean, how to compare it? It's a pretty small place but again, he wasn't the big superstar he turned out to be. I happened to meet Steve Stevens at the NAMM show, which was awesome. And Steve went on to play on Vince Neil's solo album when Vince went solo from Motley Crue. What a ripper, man. I love that fantastic. Solo in Rebel Yell. Mm-hmm. And it has that little machine gun thing. Yeah. Right, it's so cool. Which Tom Morello took and ran with it, right? Tom Morello. On the subject of guitar players. Now we want to segue into this on like one of Dave's, biggest inspirations, Ronnie Montrose, the man who I met at the NAMM show. Rest in peace, Ronnie. Ended up doing Gamma, right? And so Dave had he crossed paths in more ways than one with Ronnie Montrose.
Yeah.
Share that story because this is very, very exclusive, man. And again, it's the thing on like how you meet your idols and you're like, holy crap, that happened, right? Here we go.
So, we were doing the band and
this is Boy.
Yeah, this is Boy. And the guy that was the engineer that owned the studio was called Madman Studios up on Adeline, Bill Thompson, just terrific guy. He he did that recording for us and stuff. And then he closed the studio up and he started doing working with bigger bands. Like he was the sound guy for Elvin Bishop, and then he started working with Ronnie Montrose, and he everything we did, we'd always give it to Bill, have him listen to him, let us know what he thought and stuff. And we submitted some material to him, and he said, hey, I'm going to play this for Ronnie and see what he thinks. I think it's really good, which he did. And then Montrose came in on the project, came down to our studio and worked on the song with us. And he rearranged some of the song and stuff. Then we went into the studio with Bill and him and recorded 2 songs with him, and it was really exciting. Here's a lifelong, idol of mine, and here I am sitting there playing guitar with him, working with him, and it was like a dream come true.
Wow, that's so amazing, man.
Great
when you told me that story off camera years ago, I was like, that's so cool. I mean, it's just, there's just no words for it, man. That's a once in a lifetime thing that, people just only dream of. It never happens. That's awesome.
Definitely a pinnacle. Right
on, man. Anything I might have left out about the music thing? Other bands, other places you played. A lot of history of Dave Razzano here. And being that this show is about movies and music, what movies over the years have caught your attention, made you want to quote the lines and talk about? We're talking about actors,
Yeah.
certain actors, directors, and movies and locations. I mean,
Yeah.
what movies have done it for you over the years?
I would say, I'm not much of a line quote or anything like that, but some of the characters that I enjoyed over the years, I loved Billy Bob and Sling Blade,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. It's pretty good. Um, let's see. I like the older movies, some of the black and white, the weird ones, like Russ Myers, I guess.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or Ed Wood or any of that kind of shit is really great.
Yeah, Russ Myers. He always put hot chicks, usually with big boobs,
Yeah,
in the movies.
fantastic.
One of Russ Myers is called Faster, Pussycat Kill Kill. Got to meet actors from that movie, Tura Satana, before she passed. That was amazing. And getting back to Billy Bob Thornton, if many of you don't know, he tours around the United States, currently on tour with his band called Billy Bob Thornton and the Box Masters.
I think you're coming to
And
the Bay
he's
Area.
yeah, I met the guy in Berkeley at the Cornerstone when he played there, about a mile away from here. So he is a legit musician, and he's got a pretty big fan base, so not only a great actor, writer, and director, but also in the world of music, we love that crossover on actors in bands and then band people going to acting. So what else would it be for you? Coen Brothers movies,
Love it.
Scorsese's,
Yeah.
Kubrick.
Absolutely. Yeah, all of them. Yeah,
All of them? Okay.
They're fantastic. I like independent stuff too, like one movie that sticks out is this one called Gummo. I don't know if you've ever
I
seen
remember
that one.
Gummo. Yeah, that was a good
Yeah,
one.
it's pretty hardcore. I
Yeah.
like weird
If
shit.
you all haven't seen that, that's a weird off the wall movie. Gummo. Check that out. Yeah, there's so many great ones. To go over. What about actors that stick out to you? You a Nick Cage guy or Robert De Niro?
Oh yeah, love them both. They're
Al
great.
Pacino,
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, maybe we could wrap this up. And this is what a great episode, man. I thank you for your
Thank
time,
you for
sir.
having me.
And,
Fantastic. And,
again, Dave Razzano, guitar player for Mannequin Planet, ex-boy. Before we go, are you working on anything new? You want to talk about the new stuff with your new players or what?
Nothing really. Just got a lot of things going and just having fun with them, and
He's working on another band. I guess it's too early to reveal the name or any songs or any plans.
We gotta get a little more together. But
Okay. Well, he's going to be drifting off and doing that. Maybe in 2026. Who knows? Maybe early 27. Yeah, I heard through the grapevine it's ex-members of Mannequin Planet, so we'll have to see what they got cooking up. But I'm glad that Dave's sharing time between both and keeping the planet rocking with his presence. And really a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show, man.
Thank you, David. It's been great being here.
All about music and movies, and this guy is like a big music head forever. And great to have you on the show, and we'll see you next time on Music, Movies, and Movie Music.